This evening, taxation for lower paid workers likely to be reviewed and lowered soon. Ministry of Natural Resources seeks to become member of EITI. City Hall councillor oversteps boundaries to interrogate town clerk's daughter. PPC says parking meter initiative must be open to public consultations. In the region, the Barbados Hotel of Tourism Association, BHTA, has advised members not to panic. And internationally, I want an apology from gays. Catholic League's Donahue tells CNN's Cuomo as they spar over Pope's comments.
From Safetv headquarters in South Ramble Gardens, this is Safetv Headline News with Rihanna Ahmed.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel, as well as our website, safetvghana.com. Join us. The Granger administration is aiming to create a level playing field as it relates to taxation in the country. Part of what is envisioned is the lowering of the amount of taxes paid by the ordinary Guyanese. Kingsley Bryan has more.
For years, the poorer class of Guyanese have been affected by the tax system of the country. The new administration announced its intention to have the removal of income tax exemptions under set conditions. This is believed to create a level playing field, as explained by Finance Minister Winston Jordan. President Granger expressed that the present form of taxation should not exist since the poorer class was affected.
The idea is that we should not have the form of taxation which puts a heavy burden on the poorest people. And that's why maybe we can bring the entire rate of taxation, especially personal income tax, lower. As you know, over the years we have attempted to create a threshold.
The president said from year to year in the budget, the income tax threshold could be varied to minimize the effects of the present system. President Granger also said he does believe the tax exemptions should be reduced, not only for income tax, if a level playing field was to truly be created.
I am approached almost every week by some agency for waivers. And what we've learned in the past is that waivers, create anomalies, and dishonest persons tend to exploit those anomalies and apply for waivers or apply for exemptions, which they are not properly entitled to do.
President Granger says that the move will remove the possibility of the tax system serving the interest of a particular set of Guyanese.
The important thing I think the Minister of Finance is trying to do is to remove opportunities for graft and ensure that all citizens, all taxpayers operate on a level playing field.
The president said he would not like, at this point in time, to deprive working people of their benefits. He maintains that the government is working towards ensuring that the poorer class is not gravely affected by any tax system the government implements. Rihanna?
Thanks, Kingsley. The Ministry of Natural Resources is to submit its application for membership to the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI, in November. Andrew Weeks reports.
Ana Maria Rodriguez, a consultant from the World Bank, is in Guyana, assisting the ministry to establish a multi-stakeholder group, MSG. Rodriguez will be providing technical support on the process for creating the MSG and advising the preparation. As soon as the MSG is established, the process can begin for the drafting of a work plan. In an interview with Gina, Rodriguez said that she will be assisting the stakeholders to understand the process in order to accommodate that process to the context of the country so that they can actually prepare for the candidacy for EITI and come up with a good work plan that would be helpful for the country.
Going to make sure that Darlene and all the stakeholders in Guyana understand the process in order to accommodate that process to the context of the country so that they can actually prepare for the candidacy of EITI and come up with a good work plan that it's going to be helpful for the country.
The Ministry of Natural Resources will be hosting a national symposium on Wednesday to engage stakeholders in the process of creating the MSG. Rodriguez is expected to guide the process of selecting representative of the MSG. EITI Technical Focal Point Officer, Darlene Christian, further explains.
The sector will choose their own representatives, so that's why we have Anna here to guide in the process so that everyone understands the requirements of the representatives, how to choose their representatives, and to develop the TOR that would, at least a draft of the TOR that will guide the representatives on what they do and how they do it.
Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman said the symposium is a good start towards reinvigorating interest in the EITI. Minister Trotman noted that he would like to see the standard in place before Guyana begins oil production, that it would be good for Guyana to put this standard in place by having the membership sorted out and accredited so that Guyana starts to benefit from the revenue from oil the country would already have been subscribing to that standard by being transparent and open.
The government of the day is by and large to be seen as the stewards or the steward of this national patrimony, and so it's important that we make public the revenue from the extractive industries.
Rihanna, in its quest to embrace the standards of good governance in the regulation of the extractive industries, Guyana has been receiving guidance and support from the EITI's Norway-based Secretariat and the Trinidad and Tobago chapter. Guyana had reaffirmed its commitment to join the EITI at the World Summit in Peru last February. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Trouble at City Hall as a councillor is heading for sanctions for approaching the town clerk's daughter for details on his recent trip to Panama and Mexico. Andrew Weeks reports that Mayor Chase Green said this has gone beyond disrespecting a senior officer to invasion of privacy.
Moments after President David Granger called for unity in his address to councillors at City Hall on Monday to work in the interests of their constituency and for the development of the city, it was revealed after statutory council meeting reconvened that an unnamed councillor approached Town Clerk Royston King's daughter to find out if she had gone on the recent controversial trip to Mexico and Panama and if any other of King's relatives had been included. Today, in an invited comment, Mayor Chase Green said that kind of attitude would not be condoned under her watch.
If there's a council matter, it is unacceptable for any councillor to play he or she is a CID detective and go and investigating into the town clerk or any councillor's life. The trip to Mexico was one that was tabled at the city statutory meeting. I said I received an invitation from the company, of which I have accepted, and I proceeded along with a team to Mexico and Panama.
Mayor Chase Green said that the town clerk had called on her on Sunday morning and was very upset at what his daughter had told him about the councillor. According to her, the councillor had urged King's daughter not to mention to her father anything they had spoken about.
Knowing it is something wrong, you did. You particularly said to the young lady, I was so told, please don't mention this to your father, you're not to tell him. Don't tell your father I asked you these questions. You do two things. One, you want the town clerk's daughter to be dishonest with him and to keep stuff away from him. You're encouraging her. Things that this city is trying and the representatives of families are trying to do, that you must have close relationship with your children. So you must know where they are, what they're doing. You are now encouraging her to not have that relationship and starting to keep things from her. It is fair, it is not fair, it is wrong, and it needs to be settled.
The unnamed councillor was sitting right there at the statutory meeting and could be charged for obstruction and even be locked up. The mayor further stated that she planned on taking this issue up soon with the Human Services Department of Council and possibly the Ministry of Social Protection.
I said yesterday, the town clerk is going to take he said he's going to take the necessary steps because we don't know how much further it will go beyond that. And how can you as a councillor, having a constituency representative, being council, have not to date done one single thing for your constituency, but it's finding time. You have not even brought one project to the council to say, look, Since I've been elected, I've recognized in my constituency the drains are not dug, the streets don't have lights, the street need repair. You have done nothing, but you're finding time to go and do an investigation on a council matter that has nothing to do with you more or less.
The mayor said the behavior of some councillors was unbecoming, and she urged that a workshop be organized to train them on how they ought to conduct themselves. The town clerk offered that councillors should not interfere with the work of the administration, and that if clarifications were needed or a problem arose, then councillors should contact either him or the mayor. Rihanna?
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, General Secretary of the GTUC seeks restoration of the Ministry of Labour, and Senior Superintendent in Berbice suspected of rape.
Everybody knows John Lewis Styles as the Levi's and Dockers store. But did you know we're also an authorized dealer for Nautica, Perry Ellis, US Polo, Natural Issue, Joffrey Bean, and many others. We also carry the Bruno and Drill brands, who are actually the makers of Express shirts, at half the price of Express. So the next time you think of men's clothing, shoes, and accessories, there's only one choice. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, Umda Palka ghee is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This Palka ghee is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Umda Palka ghee is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Only at Kissoon's can you get the guaranteed offer of up to 50% discount on every item in their blowout factory surplus sale. 50% off for Guyana's 50th anniversary right through the year. Check it out at their spacious factory outlet at Reinfeldt Industrial Park, where parking is no problem. They're in the mood to celebrate at Kissoon's. Once you want it, Kissoon's will make sure you don't leave without it.
This is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
The parking meter initiative must be open for public consultations, or at least this is the view and call emanating from the People's Progressive Party Civics headquarters. This report has more. The likelihood exists that a parking meter or parking lot system may soon be introduced in Georgetown. Not only will this alleviate vehicular traffic, remains a sore issue for the unions. General Secretary of the GTUC, Mr. Lincoln Lewis, said the change cannot be justified, and the government hasn't offered a formidable reason for the change. Kingsley Bryan provides the details in this report.
The issue of not having an independent Ministry of Labour continues to irk the trade unions of this country. There have been public criticisms of the move by the Granger administration and countless calls for the government to revert the decision. Mr. Lincoln Lewis explained that the matter was not to be taken lightly, especially since no just reasoning was provided by the administration.
You change things because it is necessary to change it. You don't just change things because you feel like changing it. The government has not explained to us or bring any argument that is justifiable to say why there's an absence of a Ministry of Labour.
Mr. Lewis further stated that the Labour Ministry has been a feature in this country for decades, and its omission under this new administration has raised eyebrows. He argued that an entirely new ministry was created, the Ministry of Business, and this clearly indicated government's priority. Lewis relayed that the larger nations that we drew best practices from have had their labour ministries and ministers intact. Lewis explained that the Labour Department and tripartite agreements being ineffective. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Kingsley. A deputy police superintendent operating within the Police B division is expected to soon be charged for rape. Headline News has been reliably informed that a complaint was filed by a female corporal who had been working closely with the accused detective. This newscast was told that the Burby superintendent would usually make passes at the corporal, with the promise that her days at work would be made much easier. But sources say that the woman refused, and the detective's advances grew stronger and more physical. A complaint was then filed. In addition to recommending rape charges, the Director of Public Prosecutions also advised that departmental charges also be instituted against the superintendent. While Headline News was unable to reach Police Commissioner Sila Prasad, a prominent online news agency moments ago quoted the top cop as saying that the force's regulations stipulate that any disciplinary action to be taken against police inspectors and ranks above that rank must be done by the Judicial Service Commission, GSC. Further advice is being awaited.
Source items directly from the manufacturing brand, offering you more choices and better prices. Women love to look great, whether it's for work or play. From clothing, shoes, accessories, to handbags, watches, fragrances. Let's make you feel like the only girl in the world. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, Palka ghee is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This Palka ghee is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Palka ghee is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Don't let this moment in history pass you by. Kissoons want every Guyanese home to showcase a new piece of furniture to remember this glorious event of our Jubilee celebration. Kissoons have gone crazy. Every item is on sale right through this year in the Big Broad Factory Surplus Sale, up to 50% off for the 50th birthday at Kissoons.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
In news from the region now, the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, BHTA, has advised members not to panic, but calmly try to assess the likely impact of UK's vote to exit the European Union. In a press statement released by Chairman Roseanne Myers, she said the association has been cautiously monitoring the lead-up to the Brexit vote, but the initial shockwave after a decisive win by the Leave campaign is extremely disturbing, as it has resulted in plunging currency value and stock market prices. Weak currency and reduced spending power, coupled with the uncertainty further fueled by the Prime Minister's resignation, are concerning. Barbados Today Afternoon Report has our story.
We begin with the latest reaction to the planned UK pullout of the European Union. The board of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association meets on Thursday to discuss the possible fallout, even though newly elected BHTA head Roseanne Myers says it's still too early to say what the impact would be on the island's bread and butter tourism industry.
It's early days, and anything that affects the currency and anything that does not, that affects the certainty of what's going to happen, any unsure environment will affect or possibly affect us in the future. And therefore, what we have to do is to provide a very confident and sure face that Barbados will be prepared and ready for whatever happens.
Is it face? Is it real though? Is it a face, or is it that we are ready?
Well, having heard about the vote coming, any right-thinking business would have already been following all the stories. This has not just happened on the 24th of June. The whole question of Brexit was in the making for a while. So there's no way that anybody should now be trying to figure it out. That is what I see.
The development could not have come at a worse time for the Barbados tourism industry, which has been rebounding from the recent recession. However, Myers says tourism stakeholders are prepared to weather the storm.
You share some information that seeks to look at what are the possibilities, and we will discuss that among a full agenda of other things, but we will discuss that and look very much at what other information our members have sent, because we've asked all our members, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're thinking, whatever you can suggest, let us know, and we will collate that information.
Outgoing CEO of the BHTA, Sue Springer, says they expect to have a clearer picture of the overall Brexit impact in another 2 weeks.
There are a lot of the tour operators, of which nearly 60% of our business from the UK comes from, will obviously be meeting and strategizing and being able to see whether or not they've had any repercussions whatsoever. Once we have that feedback, we will then be able to see very succinctly where areas, as Roseanne has correctly said, what demographic and so on are really being affected. They will also be working with the airlines, because obviously people have to get here. So there will be a cohesive plan amongst those tour operators and airlines and so on, because at the end of the day they all need to be able to support one another and survive. So I would say that by probably the next 10 to 15 days we will be in a far better position to sort of maybe get some sort of idea.
And internationally, yesterday on board the papal plane, Pope Francis made some comments to reporters that many are seeing as a necessary shift in the Church's attitudes towards members of the gay community. This is a move that many are calling groundbreaking in the contentious relationships between the Vatican and the LGBT people around the world. So when CNN's Chris Cuomo opened up his interview on Tuesday morning with Bill Donahue, the president of the Catholic League, it seemed likely that Donahue would at least somewhat echo the sentiments of the Pope. Or did he? CNN reports.
Do you feel like apologizing to the LGBT community?
As a matter of fact, I want an apology from gays. I've been assaulted by gays. I've never assaulted a gay person in my entire life.
You blame all gays?
No, I blame the people who had a parade, a protest parade, who watched me be assaulted by lesbians. So what? See, and the other thing is this. I'm going to correct something because CNN is factually wrong, as is today, and so is today's New York Times.
How so?
Because they said that the Pope said that the Church said that we have to apologize. He said Christians. He said, this is a direct quote on the plane with Sidney Wooden. He said, the Church is holy and we are sinners. Christians are sinners. Now, if a Catholic or Protestant or Jew or Muslim has offended a gay person or anybody, of course they should apologize. But the idea of a blanket apology because you're a member of some demographic group, I mean, I don't know, what church teaching is it that you have a problem with that maybe the church should apologize for?
Well, one, it's refreshing to hear you refer to LGBT as a demographic group. Often you only see gays as their behavior, as if it wasn't who they are, it's what they do. But just to be accurate, I believe that the church not only should apologize, like that Marxist cardinal said, and then he laughs, and not only should apologize to this person who is gay, whom it has offended, but has to apologize to the poor, to exploited women, to children exploited for labor. It has to ask forgiveness for having blessed many weapons. That's what the Pope said. Let's discuss why you are resistant to it. You're not going to win on the language, but it's your resistance to the idea.
He said the church is holy and we are sinners. That's in there. He made it very clear. He's not talking about the church's teaching.
He said the church should apologize. It's not about the teaching. So that's why I brought you here today, and I'm happy you took the opportunity. Love, mercy. That's what Pope Francis says. He doesn't say that the rules have changed. He says tensions should change, that Bill Donahue, as the head of the Catholic League, should be out there fighting for the poor, should be fighting for things that are good, and not spending so much time fighting to keep gays from getting married.
I spent time in Spanish Harlem making the illiterate literate. I've worked with the black community more than most white people. I've taught black history. I've been in the ghetto. I've worked with the poor. I support vouchers. I support the kinds of things that allow non-white kids in the inner city to go to Catholic schools and get a good education.
Why do you spend so much energy on this? Why is it so important to you to denounce
what energy am I spending on it?
What do you mean? How many times have you been on this show to talk about exactly this?
Because you asked me to come on and ask me about it. If you want me to
Bill, you have never asked to come on the show for anything else. You've never said, I want to talk about vouchers.
I don't make the phone calls. Your producers call me. Now, if you want to have a conversation about poverty and why the people who champion the poor are the biggest enemy of the poor, they're the ones that put their heel in the face of the poor. It's namely the liberal establishment, which is anti-poor. If you want to have me on, have your producers call me to talk about that. But your producers only want to talk about LGBT, and don't forget the Q. The Q. The Q is questioning. What you're questioning.
I know what the Q is.
What are they questioning? I thought this was fixed.
And that's Safetv 2 headline news for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Safetv 2 headline news on Facebook, YouTube, and safetvguyana.com. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm Rihanna Ahmad signing out from this newscast. Do have a blessed evening.